If you disrespect the rules of money or you don't follow it, it will disrespect you. And by that I mean your bank account will feel it. You have to have a relationship with money. Either you respect it or you don't respect it, but you have a relationship. So obviously when you respect it, you're prosperous, right? And if you disrespect it, you're poor.
I'm outside of Invest Fest. At the end, this is a spillover with Betty Fouche.
Fouche.
Oh, okay. I don't know. That's a nice last name. Fouche. From?
I'm in Brooklyn, New York right now.
All right, in Brooklyn, New York. All right, cool. How has Invest Fest been for you in Atlanta, Georgia, 2023?
This is my second time coming, so I knew I was expecting to see greatness, and I did. The speakers were phenomenal. They dropped a lot of gems, a lot of useful information that I can implement into my business profile, because that's what I came for. That and the networking, and I met you. So it's been fun.
Okay, great. I like to think I'm a part of that greatness. I'm a percent or something. So you and Sarai were talking, and I heard you're a day trader, right?
I am. So my handle again on IG is Black Diamond Brood, and I am a day trader. And I give out free content to simplify what trading is, because a lot of people are scared of, I don't want to lose money. I don't want to lose. And they put up all these guards before even understanding. It's almost like reading a book. It's learning a new skill, right? So when you learn this new skill, then you have to implement the new skill. So I do share. I break down day trading as simplified as I can, so that, it's friendly, if you would, for people who are afraid of stocks. How are you afraid of a stock? It's not even a item per se, but I guess it's the fear that people carry with them, and this is where you have to have a relationship with money. Now, going to that, of losing something that you didn't even understand the whole concept, right? So if you disrespect the rules of money or you don't follow it, it will disrespect you. And by that I mean your bank account will feel it. You have to have a relationship with money. Either you respect it or you don't respect it, but you have a relationship. So obviously when you respect it, you're prosperous, right? And if you disrespect it, you're poor or borderline. And it takes a long time to get over the hurdles. So here's the thing people got to remember. Regardless what your age is, the older you get, the shorter time to spare that you have to make mistakes. In your 20s, right? Here's the math. It's very simple. In your 20s, you figure if I make a mistake now, it might take me 10 years to unravel. Let's say 20 years, I'll be in my 40s, I'm still young enough to fix it. What about when you're in your 30s? What about when you're in your 40s? Times run out. What about when you're in your 50s? Because you got a wise person once said you have maybe 75 good summers, winters, some spring and fall. Maybe some good 75. Listen to that statement.
Maybe some good 75 again.
75s, meaning you may get, if you're lucky enough, you'll get to see 75 summers. 75 years old.
Okay.
You're not guaranteed. So now if you're in your 50s, you're making mistakes. You think you got that time to fix it?
No.
Exactly.
Behind.
So what I explain, when I do my podcast and I explain about trading, I try to make it as simple as possible, not too overwhelming. It can be very overwhelming, but isn't life overwhelming? So I make it in a way, at least as far as I believe, that it makes sense to you, it appeals to you, it's fun. I taught financial literacy at a school in Brooklyn last year and the year prior. So 2 years in a row, I went and gave a financial lesson. And let me tell you, these kids, they were, I think, 11 to 15, plus or minus. I explained to them about the stock market. I explained to them what's bullish and bearish. And I explained to them a currency pattern, just a pattern. By the end of the class, which was an hour, from beginning to end, because we had a timer, they started to understand the differences. I would quiz the kids, point to what does this mean? They were getting it.
They got it.
So, and I'm not comparing anyone to a child. If a child can learn that in an hour, imagine what else they can learn. So don't be scared. Don't be afraid of it because you're surrounded by it anyway. Do you know that if you have a bank account that the bank trades your money for you?
Yeah, I've heard that before. A lot of people don't know that.
It's true. So the bank takes, let's say you have $5,000. It'll show you on a printed paper that the $5,000 is there. It's not there. It's already being repurposed and reused. One of the repurposes model is they trade for you, which is what I do. So when I understood that, I said, I don't want the bank trading for me.
Right.
Because then they make all the profit and they give you maybe 0.01%. And that's after 12 months. The average loan now only accrues 0.01% a year. This math ain't mathing. So if the bank can do it, I can do it for myself. I took my money out. I left just enough to pay bills. I took all my money out. I'm my own best investor at this point. The bank can do it, but they won't share the profits with me. You gotta go. And then you gotta lay the groundwork. So financial literacy, ladies and gentlemen, is very, very important because your money's being played around. And right now we have the emergence of the BRICS nation, which will strip down to the nub. Down to the nub.
I don't really understand the impact of that.
I'll explain to you what happened before the BRICS. All right? A little historical content that I know. We had what was called petrodollar, which was an agreement between the Saudis and the U.S., right? I think it was created around 1971, somewhere around that time. Henry Kissinger. And the agreement was for any nation to purchase oil, they have to take their dollar, change it to the U.S. currency, and then it's a 3-step, right? And then you can buy oil. So why is that so important? All right, think about this. It took a manufacturing process to do your comb, let's say, or toothbrush. But how does it get there? Manufacture was the next stage. First we had hand labor, then you had manufacture, the Industrial Revolution. So everything is tied to that. So we are heavily dependent on fuel and oil.
Yeah.
The trucks for delivery, the machinery that makes the product, plastic bottles, glass bottles, all of these are tied to machines that need oil daily. Well, I haven't spoken about automobiles, trains, planes, and all this other stuff. So for our basic needs of getting food from point A to point B already involves oil because of the transportation factor. And if it's flown by airplane, same idea. So now when this agreement expired within the last 10 years, the first nation that was to step out was the Saudis. And India and Germany were right around that time. I don't remember having it in a sequence. Why? Because we don't have the best relationship with these nations. So why would they want to be tied? It's like your landlord telling you, if you move out, you still pay. Would you pay? Right. So that's my point. So because the U.S. dollar was no longer backed by oil, and at one point we went to gold, which happened previously. So we went to gold to oil, but right now the U.S. dollar is not tangible. So with all this thing unraveling, this beautiful, beautiful box unraveled, nations after nations, they rolled out. They said, we don't need you anymore. We may have some other relationship, but that said, as far as us being 100% dependable to a U.S. dollar, that became a problem. So the U.S. dollar has slowly but surely lost its value. Now, these nations who are no longer tied to the U.S. dollars, right? Now they started their own version of currency.
What?
And now this currency is going to take, here's the dollar comes out in 2024. This is why financial knowledge is so important. It's around 2024, this one currency, I don't know the name of it yet because it's still in the works or whatever's going on, it's going to be 55 U.S. dollar. You ever went to Jamaica and you want a simple cab ride that's talking about 70,000 dollars? The number 70 just already makes it seem like it's crazy because we're not used to using these level of denominations. So that's the idea. So if it takes 55 U.S., and the U.S. dollar, slowly but surely, is being eroded like sand, right? You go to the beach, you put your foot down, and you kind of like you sink in the sand. That's what's happened to the U.S. dollar. It's sinking in value consistently. How much is that going to be worth later on? Because we no longer have the oil backing. Nobody needs to go through us. So BRICS, let me see if I got let me see if the old card is working. Brazil, Russia, India, South Africa, and I forgot the K. No, that's it. BRICS. Okay?
Oh, that's what it stands for.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And there's more joining. So these nations put together, they're creating their own currency that's going to be backed by gold. That was one part of their setup, and fuel, because the Saudis control the fuel. There's no longer an agreement tied to the U.S. dollar. So now what happens to the U.S. dollar? So now, if we control how much fuel people buy by tying back to the U.S. dollar, how much is going to be milked? $5. Why not? You have to think everything is unraveled now. It's like you go from this to loose. It's done. So, and then with all the stuff that Biden is doing, does everybody understand what's happening with the green energy movement?
No.
Can I share with you? Biden administration has this new plan for us to be greener, reduce carbon footprint. That's great. Here's what's going to happen now. It's going to
15-minute cities? No.
No, I don't remember. It's going to bankrupt real estate. Because what's going to happen is, in order to get it's already starting, by the way, so you can, no matter if, at least in New York, the commercial buildings have a tie-up that they have to be green to a certain level by 2024. If you're not, the building can get a fine as much as $250,000 per month.
What?
Then, wait, there's more. Then there are companies that are offering, if you, like, let's say you have an older house. Grandma left the house to you. So you're an heir. You earned it. But now you have to get the house green. But the house is in such condition, early 1900s, you can't get it green. So you may have to tear down and rebuild. Who's going to pay for that? So there's companies that's offering to finance that. But on the back end, you mess up, they foreclose on your property. Because you owe this bill. Listen, the worst thing you could do to a property is have a lien. My friend had a water bill that was outrageous. I told her, go pay that bill ASAP. You could lose your house to a water bill. Yes, it's called a lien. If you owe any municipality money, it becomes a lien to you. You can have a lien on you for car tickets, which is notorious in New York. They could put a lien on your property. That's done. Because you owe a municipality. You don't owe baby girl that live around the corner. You owe like a federal institution. Yeah. So they can tie that up. So if you want to sell a property, you don't get rid of that. You have to pay that lien. They'll take it out of your proceeds. Ladies and gentlemen, do not get caught up in the liens. Understand, a tax lien, they can take your house. Your house could be worth $1 gazillion. You don't pay that lien, and you don't have the money to pay it and restore it, plus interest. There's always interest. Then you could potentially lose it. Every state is different. Some states, they give you 6 months. Other states give you a year. And it varies. So there's a lot of ways you can lose your property. Especially you have to know what? Financial literacy.
That's the solution. Well, that's the first step.
That's the prerequisite.
Prerequisite, yeah.
Before you leave, like I don't have kids, but before you leave your house, your kids, nieces, nephews, even if you have kids, they should have some level of financial literacy. There was a young lady, she had a book about financial literacy, and it talked real estate terms, and this is for kids between 5 and 9. She was downstairs, one of the vendors.
I saw that one.
Yeah, I got her contact information. I want to buy that for my nieces and nephews. Okay, because they can't just sit there and hear the news and not understand what anybody's talking about. And I'm going to say this, and it'll hurt a lot of feelings, and I don't care. Do not dow things, prosperity to your kids. Make them earn it.
Do not what? Prosperity?
Down, like leave it like in wealth.
Okay.
Make them earn it, because I've seen so many situations where black and brown sisters and brothers of ours, they sold some incredible land or incredible real estate that they will never, ever be able to afford. But mommy and grandma left it for them. They see money, they see coins, it's a sale. And half the time, they lose a lot of money in the sale because they don't know their numbers. again, financial literacy. And there's another cute game that that's been going around in real estate. If you are of the Black and brown community and you have, artifacts, memorabilia about your family, they reduce the value of your property. You have to get an appraisal. The appraiser walks through the home and sees chocolate babies and mommy and daddy, everybody's lap. On that premise alone, an appraiser can reduce. They shouldn't. That's illegal. But it has happened. And then, like, if an appraiser comes back and it's a white couple, automatically it's shot up like $200,000. That is illegal. So if you don't know your property value and you want to go sell it and they reduce it by, let's say, $50,000, $100,000, you're like, okay, you take the number. Whose fault is that?
Right.
Yes. Or yours.
Personal responsibility, accountability.
You have to be your own best ombudsman. Look that up. Ombudsman. You have to be your own best representative. And you cannot do that if you don't have the knowledge. And more importantly, if you don't want to know, that's even worse. Because it wasn't that long ago that we weren't even allowed to read books. Now we have access to more books, more information than ever, and all we do is like dance on TikTok. There's nothing wrong with dancing on TikTok. But understand, at some point you're going to cross paths with money. And if you let somebody else cross paths, which will happen, it's in you and money, you can lose your money. Y'all, did you guys read about how Rihanna's manager has stolen like $15 million, whatever. I don't know the exact number. He stole a lot of money from work.
No.
This was years ago. I read the article. I would say there's a small amount of musical people who have not been robbed by their managers. Like, I've never heard of Oprah Winfrey getting robbed. You know why? She signs every check. She says that openly. So she takes the time to read every single bill. And, your memory goes with the bill. You understand, you have to put $3,000 away for blah, 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 or $2,000. You have the water expense. You have the gas expense. That's just life. That's just being an adult. Somebody shouldn't even have to ask you if you know that. You should just seek that information, right? Because if you're going to have kids, what are you going to teach them?
You can only teach them what you know.
Right. So if your knowledge is limited, theirs is going to be further limited. Because let's say they go to school and somebody's trying to teach them something better and you know less, and they say, Mommy, what's this? And then you kind of shrug it off. Stop bothering with that nonsense. Because you're embarrassed that you don't know.
She's talking a lot about children, upbringing, TikTok, dancing. What are your thoughts on, like, the nature of, there's the U.S. and then there's China, who has a completely different approach to instilling education in their youth and the culture?
Well, you have to understand, China has a CCP. So it's a different relationship with government, education, so on and so forth. Here, to what I see in comparison to other parts of the world, because I've lived outside the U.S., education is not taken that seriously in comparison. And then you could break that down to state, area, whatever. Well, it's not taken very seriously in the U.S., again, by comparison to elsewhere. So then, and then we're also not a policy, a community where, entrepreneurial is what people see. Like, oh, I want to be this, I want to be that, and blah, 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 blah. CCP is different. They control their social media over there. If you don't pass their tests, you will not post.
Wow, I didn't know that.
CCP is very much in control. And I know that because I studied it. And CCP has also, like, in some cases, their stocks. If they think like the stocks is performing a particular way that they don't like, they break it down. I remember reading something about a stock that was worth $800 and now it's $3. I don't know why they would do that, but the point is they have control. It's not like the U.S. We're more democratic here and so on. Over there, you don't have choices. You do as you're told.
Completely different. I'm going to just take it back to what you said in the beginning to wrap it up. You talked about respect your money, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll pay the consequences ultimately. And so the way, from what I get, what you're saying, the way to respect your money is through being financially literate and being accountable for your dollars. That's the solution?
Yes, that is the solution. Because what if somebody wasn't there to hold your hand? What would you do? Money is responsibility. I can tell you that right now. Money is responsibility. There are on both sides of the coin men who love money more than they love anything else, and women who love money more than anything else. But that, to me, that relationship is like they fear not having money. Like it's they stranglehold, like, oh my God, if I don't have money. And then the other people are like, I'll have it today, it's gone tomorrow. It doesn't faze them. But you should be like in between. Don't fear it, respect it, but use it correctly and be accountable for what you do. Like I'm working on, when I get to the level that I want to work on, I want to be a philanthropist. Okay, that's a goal of mine. I want to give back. So there's layers to what my goal is and my mission is with the financial literacy. But definitely like teaching the kids, understanding the market, Wall Street, in an hour. That was great. That was fun.
Yeah. Does money bring happiness?
No. As I said, money's responsibility. Responsibility is just that. It's not sugarcoat. It's not happiness. It's sadness. It is what it is. But money can solve some problems. If you respect that, it can give you a lifestyle that you'll never see. And if you don't respect it, you will be in a lot of pain. Because it can take some mistakes you can't fix in 5 minutes. Remember, we're talking about the 20 to the 30s, to the 40s, to the 50s. Yes. Yeah. For some people, they make one mistake, and they're damaged for life. You can't recover, especially financially. Especially like 2008, the market crash, it was bad. Especially if you were tied to real estate, like I am. Oh yeah, I saw properties, they were like 50 cents on the dollar. And I know people who bought during like 2008 and 2010. You buy the dip. So that's the same thing with day trading. You buy the dip. I made it one time on a stock that I was looking for, and I wanted it to be a certain number, and I lined myself up. I went to my ATM, aka my cell phone. I put in my order, and less than 15 minutes later, it tagged my order, and I got into the stock at the price that I wanted to, which was the dip, and shot right back up like $30. Just like that. Knowing how to trade, it's a skill set. And it will put food on the table for the rest of your life. And no one can take away that knowledge. No one. So that's why I'm here to share that it exists and how, and make it easy to learn. It's fun to learn.
Well, thank you so much, Betty. I did not know this was all inside there.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Any way people can find you, or what you'd like to point?
Yes. Follow me on Instagram. My handle is Black Diamond Brewed. Form of the pressure.
Black Diamond
Brewed, like a brewed cup of coffee.
Oh, BREWED.
AD. That's correct.
All right.
Black Diamond Brewed.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the interview.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks for watching. Please leave a comment below and check out either one of these videos for another amazing interview of successful entrepreneurs.